What is good, Nio family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Nio stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the charts are showing and based off what the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down some very key levels and talk about why on earth the markets are looking a lot better, at least for the short term, and what this means for Nio's share price as well. I'm also going to break down a very big event that's coming very soon, and that is the big grand opening of Nio Berlin. The big event is here, and we are going to see Nio expanding more and more and more, and this makes me very bullish long term. Now, before I break anything down about all this information, before I talk about what this could do to Nio's share price, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Nio community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth of $2,000. The best part is, any of these 12 free stocks could be a free Nio share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 2 weeks. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So in my previous video, guys, I talked about the fact that Nio had potential to see a bit of a push to the upside today, especially after we did see some potential for SPY to continue to push to the upside, and that is what we ended up seeing. Now, I did think that Nio could actually cap at about like 16.5. We ended up going to about 16.71 for the close, a little bit higher than I had predicted. But the real question is, are we going to continue to see more upside for tomorrow? And as of right now, it's a little bit more likely for us to see more upside than actually come down. I want to show you guys why that's possible. So the first thing to remember is the fact that historically during these midterm elections, October tends to be the month where we see a big improvement in the markets. And October is historically a better month for the futures and the markets. So what's good about October is we went past that capitulation phase, and you'll notice that because right now the fear and greed index, it was very fearful, right? We were just like panicking, people were selling, they were capitulating. Then all of a sudden, we got a big bounce. Now the fear is starting to subside a bit, and a lot of people are becoming very greedy. They're becoming very excited, so they're less like fearful than before in a way. Even though we are still on the fear side, we're less fearful than before, which is a pretty decent sign. Now, I mentioned this to you guys a couple of days ago. When you look at the options chain for the SPY, and the SPY is kind of like a representation of the overall market because it is heavily correlated, at least in this market, with excuse me guys, with the Nasdaq, the QQQ, and many of these other big ETFs out there, the index funds and so on and so forth. They're super correlated with the SPY. What's interesting about this is you will notice, like I mentioned, there was a 2.09 puts to call ratio. This means that the large majority of investors just last week, even on Monday, were loading the boat on the puts. They were trying to short the market, thinking we were about to crash. And when one side is too over leveraged, the market has a tendency of doing the opposite and kind of like causing lots of pain to lots of investors. This is what the market makers do. And they're starting to push the market on. People that were holding puts since Monday are actually seeing lots of pain. And this is what the market makers do to make even more gains and take advantage of retail investors. Now, this doesn't guarantee it's just going to last forever. I'm not saying that the market's just going to rally forever or even like for every day of the week this week, but there is some indication out there that's seeing the strong volume that we're seeing the very strong trends. It looks like we are likely to continue to push up very soon. Now, I am still very cautious when it comes to this because even though we got a breakout out of this very key zone above 370, we actually gapped above that just today alone, and we actually almost retested 380, came very close to it. It looks like if we can maintain the volume, as long as we maintain this zone, and as long as we like hold above 374, it's very likely SPY could squeeze and maybe push above 380. It's very possible and a lot more likely than us just like crashing back down. Now, if you're watching the SPY and playing it, if this thing breaks below 374, I'd become a little bit cautious, or like very cautious, so to speak. And if this thing ends up like dumping back down to 370, it's possible for us to get that gap filled down. Now, so far, it's not doing that. It came down and retested 374. It got a big bounce off that, and the whole market continued to follow like that. Look at Nio. Let me just show you this. This is Nio. This is the SPY, which is like an ETF that tracks the S&P 500, right? This is Nio. Look at Nio next to something else like the QQQ. super similar trend all over the market, guys. So funny to see that. So Neo got a big pop, like I mentioned, $16.88. We came down and Neo bounced off 16.38. That is a previous zone, but a more pivotal zone would be that 16.5. We pushed up, then we bounced off 16.5, and we managed to close at 16.73, up over 8%. Nice move from Neo. If it maintains the volume, we could see a continuation of this. The only thing that kind of concerns me, though, would be the whole Twitter deal with Elon Musk. Elon Musk mentioned, all right, that when it comes to Twitter, Tesla is willing, or I'm sorry, he is willing to buy Twitter at $54.20 a share. The problem with that is if Musk is so busy with Twitter, there's a lot of fear with a lot of Tesla investors that he won't have as much time for Tesla. So this is causing it caused a massive crash in Tesla. It went from like 257 all the way down to 241 within that was like 20, 30 minutes. It dropped so much. Crazy drop in just within an hour. Crazy after this news came out. So because of that, my point is there could be some shop in the EV sector, but even Tesla managed to actually get a balance and hold up in the green. So overall, guys, I do think that Nio is likely going to stay green, and we should get a nice push tomorrow. So the key zones to watch would be resistance at 16.83, 17, and then finally, 17.46. Watch those resistance levels. A break above that would take us to that 17.82 range. That's a very notorious place. Now, if it comes down, if Neo comes down, it comes like tumbling down. Watch 16.5, 16.14, and then finally this gap fill zone. If you see Neo drop below 16.14 and retest like 16, it's very likely a break below 16 will cause this gap to get filled down here. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just giving you guys the possibilities. If Neo breaks above 17 bucks tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing fills the gap at 17.33 to 17.5. It like pushes all the way up there. It's very likely that's going to happen if we break above 17. If Neo comes tumbling down, just hypothetically, and you see Neo below 16 bucks, it's very likely this thing is going to fill the gap down here and come down to 15.5. Now, that's very unlikely in my opinion, considering the volume and everything. I think it's a lot more likely that Neo is going to chop a little bit, but then push and fill this gap tomorrow. And we may do that as soon as the opening. So please be prepared for that. Let me draw this out for you. Tomorrow, Neo might get a push up here, chop around a little bit, but I think in the openings we tend to get strong volume. So Neo might push all the way up to about like 17.5, maybe a little higher than that. Maybe we touch 17.8. I'm not too sure if we're going to go that high, but 17.5 could definitely get tested. It's going to come down most likely, in my opinion, retest like 16.8, maybe come down like this for a little bit of time, but then get a big bounce and I think a nice push into power hour. I wouldn't be surprised if Neo closes into the mid $17 level, maybe around like 17.3 or around there. So a little bit green for tomorrow again is what I'm anticipating for Neo. It could push even higher if we get enough volume, but I'm going to be very cautious regardless of that, given everything that's going on. Now, if the market does hold up tomorrow, you have to remember Neo does have a tendency of being very correlated with the Nasdaq, the QQQs, and the SPY right now, because all of them are kind of like trading in unison. And you can see how Neo is very similar to SPY. If they do both get a nice balance, that can really help Neo as well. Now, another big thing to really look out for Neo is Wednesdays tend to be green days historically. So I'm anticipating a good green day for Neo. I'm hoping that the historical data is correct about that. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is this big event right over here. Neo has announced, and I have to put stress on this, that they are coming to New Horizons. They're going to be launching in Berlin very soon. This is massive news. And because of the fact that the market's gaining momentum, more buyers could step in during a big event like this. I'm very excited about this. I'm super bullish. And I think that this is going to help them really see blue skies in the future. It's going to help them expand their brand, really get out there all over the world. Because over the next few years, when they really start to actually keep up with demand and start producing more cars, this is going to be a game changer for them because they're already there in those key hotspots. Great job, Neo. I'm super bullish. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. I gave you guys my prediction, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Neo to the moon because the long term future is bright, and peace out.